What's up, everyone? My name is Megan. I am from the Alaska Manufacturing Association. I'm here in Anchorage, Alaska, getting a tour from Petra, the founder of Alaska Rhodiola. She's going to be showing us a deeper dive into their new extraction facility where they're taking this tincture and turning it into a powder. Now, this facility where the tincture is made is actually down in Anchor Point, but their new facility here is where they're going to be making powders of this rhodiola so that it can be capsulated. So let's go in, get a deeper dive on how they are making some powder of this rhodiola.
Welcome to the extraction lab of Alaska Rhodiola. We have two parts to the unit. One is what we call the dirty area, which is basically street clothes, and this is where we do our fulfillment. Our inventory is in there. Currently we only have one product, which is the tincture. And then back here is where we do our fulfillment for our online shopping. This is where we do kind of our work that doesn't require being actually in the lab. This is going to be where we're going to go in, so
Great.
I'm going to get you gowned up.
Okay, let's do it. How long have you guys been here?
It's been 1.5 years since we started renting the facility, but it took us about 8 months to get it to a point where we could actually, it was awful. Oh. And I won't badmouth the city and permitting, but it set us back thousands of dollars waiting for permits. We had to put in all additional power sources because of our equipment, drained more power than was originally in this building.
Yeah.
We had to move some walls, we had to get in cleaning facility. Like suddenly it was like, no, this isn't zoned for manufacturing. It's like,
And that was like after you signed the lease.
of course,
Right.
because this is not really heavy duty manufacturing. They were afraid of noise, of fumes, of trucks coming and going, and hazards.
Yeah.
And the most hazardous thing we have is 55-gallon drums of pure ethanol, but we're limited to the amount of ethanol we can have in here.
Interesting.
And so then we had to clean this and paint it with, repaint it and get ready for full GMP certification. We're not GMP certified yet because that is an arduous process, but Britney has done a great job to do everything right from the get-go, with all of the documentation and paperwork and cleanliness and water sample testing and all of that, so that when we're ready, they should be able to come and just say, okay, and hopefully not find.
Yeah, you don't have to go back and fix things.
Yeah. On in here.
Yeah, let's go. And you have another facility as well.
Yes, we do. We make the tincture in Anchor Point.
Okay, cool.
But
And then this is all powders.
This is for where we're making our extracts. Tincture is made by taking the dried root, which is pre-made as soon as the farmers harvest. Okay, dig up the roots. They have to wash them, slice them, get them dehydrated, bag them up, and that's how we purchase it. Okay.
And the farmer is responsible for all that.
Right. We do have a root processing facility at Anchor Point if they're not able to do that last step themselves, and some of the growers utilize that, but some of our other growers have built their own drying and root processing methods on their farms.
Yeah.
Of course, if they use ours, we charge them for that. If they come completely finished, then they get a little bit of extra bonus because they've done it themselves.
You're skipping a step, right?
But we have certain requirements. It has to be a minimum no more than 10% moisture in the roots, and then they have to cleanly bag them and then deliver them to us. Then we take the root and grind it up and create the tincture, which I won't get into big detail there, but it's basically mixing it with alcohol and water, pressing it out and filtering it and putting it in those cute little 2-ounce bottles.
Yeah.
But that tincture, we want to then remove the ethanol and the water to get down to a dry powdered extract so that we can put that into a capsule for a potent a dosage that doesn't contain ethanol, because a lot of people just don't want that or
Totally.
or can't use it.
Yeah.
It also gives us an opportunity, that method of creating a standardized dose. So in the industry standard for rhodiola supplements, you're supposed to have a minimum of 3% rosavins. So let me back up a little bit. Rosavins and salidroside are the two chemicals that distinguish Rhodiola rosea from all the other rhodiola plants out there.
Oh, interesting.
There are about 90 or 100 different species, depending
Wow.
on how you split or lump, that group of sedum plants. So, for example, the species that grows here in Alaska, Rhodiola integrifolia, doesn't have rosavins. And so the industry standard is that if you want to call it a really good, high-quality rhodiola supplement, it needs to contain at least 3% rosavins. The plant doesn't make 3%.
Oh, interesting.
So that's why in order to encapsulate it, we have to kind of increase that by extracting and concentrating. Okay?
Interesting. Yeah.
So before we get into this, and how we do this, I wish we were set up for showing you how it works, but we're at a different phase of
Totally.
working right now, so it's not set up. Let me get Britney, our chemist.
Okay, cool.
Hold on. One of the things we're trying to do here is try to figure out how to make capsules in a standardized unit dosage. And we're just experimenting right now because we have to get an idea of how the extract feels and works. How does it clump? How does it work? Because obviously we're not going to get very far doing this by hand.
Yeah,
if
right.
we want to gear up. And we are going to be looking at encapsulation equipment.
Nice.
But we just want to get a kind of a feel of how this
So is this
seems
part
to-
new for you guys doing the?
brand new.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, brand
Cool.
new. Yeah. And so this is actually extract. This is not ground up dried root.
Wow.
It is challenging because we've already see how it
Yeah,
the
it just
static-
kind of like
the
flicks
static-
everywhere.
The static cling is a pain in the tush.
Wow.
And we tried doing this with a metal machine, but then we ended up getting metal shavings everywhere.
Oh, interesting.
So we are kind of at the early stages of figuring out how best to do this. We are going to go to a trade show called Supply Side in October,
Cool.
where all these people are going to be, and I'm sure we can solve the problem with lots of money which we don't have yet. So one of the challenges for us is figuring out a economically feasible machine that will do this for us. So making tincture and filling liquid bottles is simple because you can precisely inject 2 ounces. The machine squirts in 2 ounces. It moves along the conveyor belt.
Yeah.
You put the cap on it and you're ready to go. Putting in 100 milligrams of dry powder that is staticky and finicky is really difficult, and so this is a huge area that we still have to understand.
Interesting.
Figure
What
out
makes it?
which
Do you know what
machines.
makes it so staticky?
It's so fine. It's just a very
Oh,
fine.
wow.
It's like talcum powder,
Huh.
right?
Huh.
And then we'll explain how we get from the liquid tincture to this with that other equipment.
Cool.
In a moment. We are also working on a lower dose capsule, which is basically taking the dried root and powdering it.
Okay.
But it's not going to have the same potency as this.
Makes sense because you're not getting it from the extract.
Exactly.
Wow. Interesting.
So, yeah, it's a painful process. Here's the metal shavings. Right.
Yes.
And then, of course, the next step is to see how many we want in a bottle and the bottle size, and we work with JKD Brands to do all of the labeling, and they've
Cool.
just done a wonderful job. But this is going to be our premier product, and it'll be a lot more expensive because of the potency.
Yeah. Have you tested it out to your audience at all yet, or is it just still like research and development?
We're still, you mean for effectiveness? No, it's just that we know that in general, on a clinical situation, most clinicians recommend somewhere between 100 and 300 milligrams of rhodiola at 3% rosavins for effectiveness.
Oh, interesting.
The tincture, one dose of our tincture delivers the equivalent of 50 milligrams. So it's kind of a low dose. So people might want to take 2 doses or 3 doses, but that little tincture bottle doesn't stretch that far.
Yeah.
But even though it's a low dose, and the capsule, the ground up dried root, will also be an equivalent low dose. I mean, hardly a week goes by where I don't get a phone call or an email from someone thanking me for how much it's helped them. So I know that even low dose is very helpful, beneficial to many people.
Yeah.
And when I ask myself, why is our low dose so beneficial when the other commercial brands require 100 and 200 or 300 milligrams? I'm convinced because ours is pure and potent and fresh, right? So if you're a botanical company, let's say, I'm not going to mention any names, but a major botanical company, and you buy this stuff from warehouses, that rhodiola is probably many months, if not a year or 2 old, right? As they come from formerly Russia or China. Now with the tariff, all of that is in a mess.
Right.
But so ours is so fresh and pure, even though by laboratory analysis it might be a low dose of rosavins, something about its freshness and its purity beats ours at a lower dose for effect than commercial grade at a higher dose. That's the only explanation.
Interesting.
I can have,
yeah.
Right. So, so I know that by creating a higher potency, this is going to reach a different market, and those are folks that are looking for a more rapid high dose. For example, athletes. Athletes like using rhodiola. It's been used for many generations for improving endurance and stamina. And a lot of times, professional athletes, they will pump themselves up with a high dose of rhodiola for a few days before their race or whatever they're doing, right? And they would have to drink a lot of tincture to do that.
Right.
So for people who need a higher dose, that's what this is going to be for.
And what are the main benefits of rhodiola, like of taking the tinctures?
So it's kind of interesting because the original use of it by northern indigenous peoples was primarily for its ability to improve mental focus and physical stamina. So it was used by athletes and warriors.
Interesting.
And over time in the Soviet Union, where they did deeper dives into botanicals, for sure they used it in their own athletes, in their soldiers. It was considered a Soviet military secret, in their cosmonauts, for any of their people that needed stress management, fatigue management, staying awake. But they also discovered its health benefits in an area called adaptogens. And adaptogens are chemicals that don't have specific effects like you would take a medicine for, say, to lower your blood pressure, right? Adaptogens are kind of non-specific supportive. They help normalize, rebalance normal biochemical pathways that are going awry from stress or illness. Primarily in what's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, where your adrenal glands may just be overworked because of chronic stress. And so it helps kind of repump those back to normal.
Cool.
They also help they stimulate various hormonal levels. It can improve thyroid functioning. It can improve estrogen functioning. It can improve testosterone functioning. So, in that respect, you can have different effects in different people, kind of depending on what their needs are.
Very cool.
I know it sounds like snake oil, but
well,
that's the way adaptogens work.
Yeah. I mean, it's from the earth, right? Like, it's something natural that we have. It's just about how do we use that to our advantage.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Very cool.
By developing this lab, we would be in a position in the future to do other botanical extracts for non-oily materials. We would never do cannabis here. It's not our interest, and it's also an oily material which is extracted very differently. But other things like blueberries,
Interesting.
like rhubarb, like any other plant material that is more of a sugary material. And I could foresee us doing blueberry extract capsules and other Alaskan-based products in the future.
That would be awesome. Yeah, you guys are building something very unique.
Yep.
That we don't have.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm at a good pause point. Okay. Perfect. And then Brittany is going to walk you through how we do this other piece.
We start with our dried ground root. We get that from our facility down in Anchor Point. And we do a couple rounds of extraction to really pull out as much of our target compound, our rosavins and our total rosavins and salidroside. So we'll do 4 different ethanol rinses and then sonicate and extract. After we collect all of those alcohol rinses, we put them on these big, beautiful machines, these rotovaps. And what these do is we are able to basically boil off our ethanol at 40 degrees Celsius, so a little bit of
140
warm. But it's still a very low temperature, so we can preserve our total rosavins and our salidroside content pretty well. And then just remove all of that ethanol, keep our water, keep our compounds all in solution.
Wow, fancy.
Yeah.
Are these 2 machines exactly the same?
They are, yes.
Wow. These are cool.
So the idea is to remove the liquid component so we can get it down to a dry powdered extract. And if you just put this on the stove and boiled it off, you would destroy the organic materials, right? Because they're temperature sensitive. So the whole idea behind these is, you'll have to come back when we've got an action going, is to remove the liquid at low temperatures. So if you remember your basic physics, if you materials boil at lower temperatures if they're under lower pressure, right? So this equipment, basically, this is where our material is in. It'll go into a water bath at 104 degrees, which is not high enough to destroy the organic materials. It'll rotate, get sucked up in here, and you can see these coils here. I'll actually turn it on real quick. Oh, that's cool. You can see these coils here are filled, over here you can see it better, are filled with antifreeze.
Oh.
And so these coils, will be cooled down very cold, like -10, -20, so that when this rotates and boils off at a low temperature, we can bring the vacuum in here to the edge of space. Like right now we are 1 atmosphere, and we can bring this all the way up to the edge of our atmosphere.
Wow.
And so it boils at a much lower temperature. So then it sucks off first we set it to suck off the ethanol because it has a lower boiling temperature than water. And it sucked it in here, and because the cylinder is chilled, the ethanol will collect on the inside of this and drip down and be collected,
Wow.
making this increasingly concentrated. Then when the alcohol is done, we switch over to boiling off some of the water.
Interesting.
Different boiling temperatures, but the same system. But we can't get it down to completely dry because you can't scrape this thing out. I don't know, this probably costs about $2,000.
Yeah,
this
big.
Just that
glass.
ball?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we don't like breaking it.
No.
So then the trick is getting the last little bit of water out, and we're experimenting between freeze drying and spray drying.
Oh, interesting.
And the spray drying right now is another bottleneck. Do you want to explain to her how the spray drying
Yeah,
works?
tell me how. I've never heard of spray drying.
This is our spray dryer. The dairy industry has actually used this technology for decades.
Think
So
powdered
things
milk.
like powdered milk, stuff like that. But
okay.
theirs are like 2 stories tall. We have a mini one, and
Cute.
this can process. Right now, we're doing 10 milliliters per minute. So right now we kind of max out at 2 liters per day.
Wow.
And how this kind of works, it's deconstructed right now, obviously, but we have our sample, and this is our sample tubing. Our sample will be fed up down through our nozzle, and those will connect to our nozzle, and the nozzle nebulizes our sample, our liquid sample, while it's also spraying hot drying gas. So we're using an air compressor. Some people use nitrogen. We do have a nitrogen generator.
How often are you running this machine?
I run this 3 to 4 days a week. It can. I usually like to do the extraction in one day because that's a lengthy process. It takes a little over 2 hours to do that, and then I can get to the rotovapping, the distillation in the same day usually. But this can run, like 8 hours. So, well, we
Without
run
you
it
tending
for-
to it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
So we do have to keep an eye on it because sometimes the nozzle can clog, or if this slips out of the fluid, that's a big bummer.
Yeah.
A lot of wasted time there, but yeah, this is what it looks like.
I saw you turned it on. Is it going to do anything?
No,
Okay.
let's just have it. The standard of 5% moisture for our products, our dried powder extract. If we can't quite reach it with that, we have a secondary drying method that we're testing out with freeze drying, which is currently running right now.
And have you done it? Have you tried it? Is it working?
Yes. So we had a couple samples that tested at 6%, almost 6%. We need 5%. So this did really well at removing that last 1%, or one tested at like 5.13%, which we still have to bring it down.
Because
that
the
little
freeze
bit.
drying is not. It's not pulling out the water. Well, yeah,
It
it is.
does,
It does
yep.
pull it out. So, but it gets you below the 5. You
Yep.
said it.
It
Okay.
does, yeah. So we're working on that right now. There's a couple of nuances to the freeze drying process that we're teasing out so that we really can make sure every time we use it. It's a very long process and requires a lot of energy. So every time we use it, we kind of really just want to make sure we are actually hitting our targets. We're not going to have to rerun stuff on there.
Can you skip this part and go straight to that part?
You can. This takes about 5 times as long and is, I think, like 20% the capacity that can do. It's
Oh,
this is
interesting.
significantly slower.
The only reason I ask is because in the valley.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they have a
not returned
gigantic.
our phone calls or
Yeah.
emails. We can't get them to respond
Okay,
to us.
I can talk to them.
Thank you.
They're at the fair right now, so they're busy people, and
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
like, hey, give us your login information. We'll just do it ourselves. So I will talk to them because I do think that if you guys have, I mean, if you can outsource to someone that has $1 million machine
Right.
that can hold the capacity that you need and get rid of this bottleneck part,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we like the spray dryer because you can have a little bit of ethanol still, and it completely gets rid of all those extra solvents, not just water. Freeze drying, you have to have really extremely low temperatures and really extremely low vacuums in order for the freeze drying sublimation process of ethanol. So this gives us a little bit more wiggle room
Interesting.
with our, the back end of everything. But this is a great secondary drying method for us.
Okay.
If we don't quite meet our targets.
So we're all still in a learning process, and I'm so grateful that we found Britney, and that she's done so much of the research, because this is completely beyond my scope of capabilities, and she's just dogging every little detail, trial and error, figuring it out, testing. We've spent a ton of money this past year just to figure out the pathway. And fortunately, our tincture sales are supporting that, but we're not able to make financial headway to buy more equipment.
totally.
And this is an area where now we're sort of like, well, do we go to the bank and get a loan? I don't want to do that.
Have you bootstrapped it the whole time?
Completely, 100% by our sales,
Yeah.
right? And so it's getting to kind of a critical point where are we going to be able to wrap up our R&D? We're getting our systems down. Brittany has done an incredible job in figuring out all of the annoying pieces of getting to our product. We are limited. We don't have any expertise to tap into. There's nobody here who does this.
Right.
If we go to contact other companies, of course, they'll do this, but we'll have to ship our product out there. They'll, and they will, charge a huge amount of money, and then they'll ship it back to us. And the whole point of this is keeping it in Alaska.
100.
Right? But we're limited in our expertise. I didn't go to medical school to learn this.
Right.
And Brittany has an enormous chemistry background, but it's the technical pieces of the manufacturing that we're struggling with,
Yeah.
and the infrastructure. And so this is kind of where we're hoping to get help in engaging with people who can guide us. We are going to supply side in October.
Yep.
But those are, again, companies that will be happy to sell us, $50,000 pieces of equipment. So it's the mentoring that's missing. It's the financing here. We've gotten as far as we can just by sales. But now we're entering a phase here where I'm a little bit nervous,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth. If we don't have enough rhodiola to keep this busy 12 months out of the year, we can also work with other botanical products, right?
Yes.
But yeah, the growers, if we ever want to expand into, nationwide into larger stores, Whole Foods, for example, unless we have more product. And that means more growers.
Yeah.
And the beauty about that is that the price of rhodiola is just going up and up. For a lot of reasons, primarily because the plant has been listed as an endangered species in the wild, which means that from now on, botanical companies can only get it from cultivated sources. Germany is on it. The Scandinavian countries are on it. Russia is starting to cultivate. Well, they probably have been, but you can't learn about that. I believe China may be starting to cultivate. But we could be the leading edge here in Alaska
Totally.
for rhodiola cultivation. The fear for the farmers is not knowing what they're going to be able to make if they spend 5 years growing this crop,
Right.
right? But I keep telling them, just go with the flow, because over the last 10 years, the price has increased, it has at least tripled,
Wow.
okay?
Wow.
So I know they can do well. But there are also other pieces missing. You know, it's like, where's the university in this?
Right.
We have tried to work with UAA and UAF to get them involved in helping us with laboratory analysis services. This is a huge problem for us. The farmer needs to know, can I harvest next week? Right? And we do a pre-harvest analysis. We have to send it either to Canada, or we have to send it to lower 48 for a high price. The turnaround time is so long sometimes that by then the weather may have changed.
Wow.
And the farmer may not be able to harvest. And so we have worked with UAA and UAF, and especially UAA has developed a method for us, but the cost that they're charging us is pretty much the same as if I sent it to the lower 48.
Interesting.
And so it's like, come on, you guys.
Yeah.
This is something for Alaska. We really, and also the research, the ag research, which a lot of it I've done with USDA grants, with the support of the Extension Service. But, there's so much that can be done from the perspective of how best to grow this, cultivate it, help the farmers figure out best cultivation techniques,
Yeah.
harvesting methods, and UAF is a land grant university, and it's sort of like, where are you in this?
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm trying not to complain, but there's just so much that can still be done.
Yeah, when it comes to that analysis that's done before they harvest, what are you guys, what is the farmer looking for?
Rosavin and salidroside concentration. Is it potent enough to be worth harvesting this year, or should we wait another year?
Interesting,
right?
interesting.
And then we do, once we give them a green light, we then, before we purchase it, we want to do a post-harvest analysis to make sure, for a certificate of analysis, right? So we know exactly what the concentrations are. Also, we have to do heavy metal analysis, and we do microbial, fungi, yeast and mold analysis before we buy it.
Nice.
Because just because it's ready for harvest, I want to know, is it still clean when we buy it? Right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there's a lot of tech. I would love to have my own HPLC machine here, right? So we can do it in-house. But again, that's another, a cheap one, used one is about 30 grand.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's this equipment
Totally.
piece.
Yeah,
that-
manufacturing
that
is not easy, and it's not cheap.
But it's
right?
fun.
It's so fun. And when you can do it all yourself, and you have something that's unique to Alaska that we can have here instead of shipping it out, coming back,
Exactly.
that's a big problem that we have as manufacturers in Alaska.
Exactly.
Right? And then we all have to kind of vertically integrate and do our own,
Well,
build it ourselves.
That's the whole point of this, from the farmer's field to the store shelf. I may have mentioned this sometime before, but the aha moment I had, I would say this goes back about 10 years. I had bundled up about 450 pounds of dried root that I powdered up for a small botanical company in the lower 48. At that time, they were paying us $25 a pound. Now I'm buying it for $60 to $65 a pound.
Yeah.
But anyway, the farmer was happy. He got a check for 10 grand. I was boxing this up. I knew this company was only powdering it up into capsules and not extracting, because that's what they told me. And I did the math on that, and that was worth about $1 million of retail value once it was
Wow.
bottled. And I thought, I'm not doing this anymore, right? We get 10 grand, they get $1 million.
Yeah.
Of course, there's manufacturing there, right? And so I thought, this is a waste of money going outside of the state when we can do it here.
Totally.
So from that moment on, I dedicated to no longer brokering for other companies. I became the main buyer, doing it ourselves, and now we have 6 employees.
Wow. Do you have your own farm?
No, I have a front yard with a lot of rhodiola growing in it. But no,
Nice.
no. But where we make the tincture at Anchor Point Greenhouse, he's putting in 12 acres this year.
Oh, beautiful.
So, yeah, so
Nice.
he's also doing it.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Is that going to be your biggest, like, is he doing 12 acres at once?
He's doing 12 acres at once, and then next year he'll do another, clear
Amazing.
some more. There's another grower here in the valley, Tom and Patricia O'Neill, who are planning on clearing. They purchased, I believe, 80 acres, and they're continuously clearing that with the idea of it's going to be 100% rhodiola.
Wow,
So
amazing.
I wish them the best. 'Cause
Yes.
they could become one of our biggest growers.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, cool. So you go freeze dryer, back to the process. We go freeze dryer, we pull out the rest of the moisture
Yep.
that we can, and then it's ready? And then you got powder?
Yep, ready to be encapsulated.
Wow,
So-
amazing. Interesting.
It's vac sealed, so it kind of clumped it really
And then you guys put it in
together,
here,
but-
seal it up, save it for
for this.
this part. And how long have you guys been doing the powder?
So
part?
we officially started production of a final product end of June. I
Oh,
think.
wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
we've had, but there's been pauses for AC and a couple different hiccups along the way. So I don't have as much as I would like, but I mean it's still forward motion.
Yeah.
We do
And how long have you been
final
in this
product.
facility?
Man, our lease started over a year ago.
Okay,
a
but
year
it
and a
took
half
8
ago.
months to get it going. So this
Yeah.
is really all new coming up
Yeah.
here to do this part.
Mhm.
Wow.
As of January was when we had our major equipment set up. But yeah, since January we've really
Wow,
only
interesting.
been working on it. So
Interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you for showing me all around your
Absolutely.
facility. I'm going to have to go to Anchor Point and see the rest.
Please,
The rest of the
yes,
process.
Yes. We'll
Yeah.
go out there.
I would
and-
like to see some of the actual plants.
Yep.
Yes.
And this would be still, you can still do it this time of year.
Cool.
Jonathan Peters at Cabin Lake Farms is currently our biggest grower, and he's in Kenai.
Okay, nice.
And so I visited him a couple weeks ago, and we looked at his plants, and I'm always encouraging him to harvest early in the year because they have more rosavins.
Oh,
But he's a
interesting.
construction guy, so the summers are busy. Then he fishes commercially,
Oh gosh.
and so he can't harvest until this time of year, which is a problem because then the rosavins start going down again. So I have not yet learned if he's harvesting this year. But if
Okay.
he is, we should go out there then.
Yeah, and so if you wait until next year, is it still in the earlier end of the year that the rosavins are higher?
They're the highest,
Wow,
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because
Would you get bigger? I would assume you get bigger roots.
the roots are larger at the end of the year, so there is a little bit of a, offset. Rosavins are a little lower, but the roots might be a little bit higher.
Interesting.
But the highest concentration of rosavins is as the plant is starting to flower.
Oh.
Once it gets into its heavy growth phase, it's consuming these materials, right?
Totally. Wow. And also, I just want to acknowledge how even the grower is like construction job,
Yeah.
fisherman.
Yeah.
You're over here like, I got a full time, and you're a doctor.
I'm a doctor, right?
And
Matter of
also
fact,
doing
I have
this.
patients arriving in 20 minutes.
Okay, we got to wrap it up. Yeah. But that is something about Alaska that I don't think a lot of people think about is manufacturing. It's not the only thing half
Right.
the time. You always have all of these other things going on. So thank
And
you for.
even Britney. I mean, my goodness, she's a mom with 2 little kids, and she is the president of the local chemical.
yeah, the American Chemical Society.
Cool.
They're local Alaska.
Nice.
She was up at 4 a.m. at a meeting. So
Oh my
yeah,
gosh!
we're all
Wow.
busy.
Yeah, that. Alaskans, man. We're over here trying to make it all happen at once. Thank you so much for sharing. And thank you so much for giving us all the technical information and showing us what you guys are working on with actually like capsulizing this rhodiola. That's huge. So
Yeah, thanks.
thanks.